Hi, and welcome back to Running Rants with Helen. As always, I'm Helen, and this is where I talk and rant about whatever I want. And today, I wanted to rant about winter training, or I guess like training generally, but more specific winter training, because it's winter. And today was my first day of the season on Nordic skis and downhill skis. So it's been a fun day. But yeah, I live in Truckee, which is the 5th snowiest city in the continental US. And so sometimes that can make it a little tricky to train for running during winter. But luckily, like, we have a lot of paths, and then I'm like 30 minutes from Reno, so for like long runs I'm able to go down there, where Auburn is like an hour from where I live, and so that also is like pretty accessible unless like we're in the middle of a storm cycle. And I started Nordic skiing probably like 2 or 3 years ago, and it's so much fun. I feel like that's like really important for me, just because, icy. I mean, I run a lot, and I especially run a lot during summer, and I love it, but I feel like it's nice to be able to break it up, because I don't really cross train a ton. I don't really like biking. But during winter, I feel like it's fun to switch to getting like most of my aerobic base on skis. I'm still pretty bad, and I skate ski, but I'm still pretty bad at it, which makes it just a lot harder, which I think is also good for me, like training wise. And then like a big part of like it being, because I guess with my training, I change it from like, I always run for time and not distance, but then like time on skis just gets added to like my total weekly volume of hours if I'm like trying to stay around a certain amount of hours. And I've also found that Nordic skiing translates a little bit better to like faster, flatter running, just because you don't have the load of downhill that you do. So I feel like then going to like mountainous things is a little hard. But that's also why I usually take a pretty big like off season from racing during the winter, just because of that. And like it is a little tricky to train. This year though, I am doing something different. I am running a race in the middle of winter. I'm signed up for Tarawera 100K. But like I said, I think since it's not super hilly, like Nordic ski fitness should translate pretty well. And like, hopefully I still just stay stoked on training. And I feel like that's something that I feel really lucky about living here. And then also just like with how my life is structured right now, like I woke up and got to go Nordic ski for an hour, and then I ate lunch, and then Jacob and I met up with one of my friends, Eric, and we got to downhill ski for a little bit, which was fun. And then from the ski resort, like this path is here, and now I get to run. So I feel really, really grateful about that, and also that I'm just able to change my training around, like depending on what the weather's doing, because that definitely was something that I wasn't able to do when I was working. Yeah, and then also kind of like I mentioned, I'm training to run that mile, and so also like, yeah, flatter, faster stuff is a lot easier than like if I try to, I don't know, go run like something that's kind of like Broken Arrow super early in the season, it makes training a little bit harder. But yeah, I like having Nordic skiing to be able to break up my year and just like be a little different change of pace. And I feel like then I end up a little bit more social during winter too. And then I feel like something with that I've been thinking about is just like there's, I think, a lot of different ways to train to get like the same effect. Like an example of this is I was at home for Thanksgiving, and I'm from Reading, and there's a turkey trot, and I feel like a lot of people say it's like the most competitive race in Reading all year, which is probably pretty true. And so it's 6 miles and it's flat. There's like maybe 200 feet. I think it's less than that, maybe like 100 feet of elevation gain in the whole thing. And it's like a path where I grew up running, and so I used it as a workout. And Rick and I thought I could probably run like 37:30, and I ended up running 36:02. So that was a fun surprise too. Just because, like, I mean, I don't normally run fast. Like lately I kind of have because of the mile thing, but like my easy runs the rest of the week, I mean, I am going to caveat this with like, I had to climb over a lot of trees during my run, but I was running twice as slow. Like I think my average pace on those runs was like between 12 and 13 minutes. And so I don't know, I feel like I see a lot of people, and I used to be this way in college, like where you feel like you have to run a certain pace on your easy days, or like if you don't run fast, like you'll be slow. But yeah, I just don't really think that that's true. I run really slow, probably like 80 to 90% of the time. And it still works out. Don't look at me. And it still works out because, yeah, I know I could still run 6-minute pace for 6 miles. But I feel like that's the thing I've been thinking about too, is like there's a lot of ways to train, and one of them is like you can almost kind of like, I don't know, do whatever training you need to do to be as absolutely as fast as possible, or like you can train to enjoy it. And maybe for some people those two things are the same. I don't think that they're the same for me. And so I feel like something that Rick and I like have talked about a lot is just like I need to enjoy my training and what I'm doing every day, because at the end of the day, like that's my life. I don't race super often, like I don't know, I'd say normally like 4 or 5 times a year. And so then like percentage wise of like the miles or the time I spend running, like it's pretty small. And so I think just for me it's really important that like I enjoy my training. And sometimes that means my training is not exactly what I need to do to be as fast as I possibly can. But I think there's different seasons for different things. Like, I don't know. I think it just kind of depends, but overall, I need to enjoy my training, because otherwise am I not enjoying like the majority of the running that's taking place in my life. And so usually that's a lot of like mountain running during summer and then not as much running during winter. And I figure out how to do other things that like help get me to the same place. Because also, I think normally like happiness breeds success. And so if I'm happy in my life and in my training, then like it takes pressure off of races, because I like truly do enjoy like every day. And I feel like, oh, that's pretty. Yeah, and I just feel like I lost my train of thought. I got distracted by the river. Pretty much if I'm happy, I do good. And doing good also makes me happy, so. I think something too, because I used to like refuse to run on the treadmill or to run on roads. And I still don't really run on like roads with cars. Except there is one neighborhood in Truckee that I like because no one really lives in there. So you can kind of just run in the middle of the road and it's pretty nice. But I used to never run on treadmills. But then like Rick and I figured out I'm willing to if like I'm doing a hill workout, because if I'm breathing so hard and like really trying not to die, I can't get bored because I'm too focused on not passing out or falling off the treadmill. So that's kind of worked. And so sometimes like in the depths of winter, when like Nordic skiing, it kind of sucks because it snowed too much, or like the Nordic Center is closed, or like running outside isn't quite an option yet. I also have that as a tool. I don't know, I backcountry ski a little bit, but I wouldn't really say I do it for fitness. I'm like definitely not into skimo, and all my shit's pretty heavy. But I feel like it's just fun because like it's another way to enjoy where I live outside. I do have another goal though. That's the other thing. I feel like during winter, I like setting like little goals that just like help keep me motivated or excited about whatever I'm doing. And so it's like the mile, or last year, I think the furthest I went on my Nordic skis was like 40 miles, but I'd like to try to ski 100K if it lines up. I guess a little tricky too, like with conditions and how long the Nordic Center is actually open. And then another goal I have is trying to get like 10,000 vertical feet on my skis in one day. And so I feel like those are all like fun little winter things.
So you talked a lot about like your uphill skiing and kind of path running in the winter. And it seems like whether you're intentionally doing it or not, it seems like you're sort of almost working on your weaknesses more in the winter time when you don't have the pressure of an upcoming race. Because I think you're like really strong as a mountain runner. You're also very fast, but like in your collegiate career, that top end speed was not like your strength as much as mountain running is. So can you say more about that? Is that like something you focus on, or it just pans out that way because of what's available?
Yeah, I feel like it just kind of pans out that way. It's like at least not intentional from my side. Like maybe Rick is doing it on purpose. But I feel like that's just like kind of part of living in the mountains. And like, I mean, I guess I could move, but I don't really want to yet. And I really like where I live. I feel like there's a lot of accessibility, and yeah, I don't know. I like winter. I think if I didn't have winter and if I lived somewhere where like I could run on trails all year, like I would. And I think at least for me, that's like a really easy way to like get burnt out or lose a little bit of the joy. Like this morning, like the Nordic ski conditions are not great. It's kind of icy, it's a little scary. My butthole was clenched like at least half of that. But like you get those little moments of like glide and it feels like you're floating, and I don't know, few things like feel that good. And I feel like I get the same joy like during winter Nordic skiing that I do during summer trail running. And I don't know, it's like really fun to be relatively new at something and bad at it, because then you get to see a lot more progression. And so yeah, I don't think generally I'm like trying to focus on weaknesses. I think it's just kind of a byproduct of where I live, and like I said, like keeping my training so I stay happy.
Cool. Is there a community element to that at all? Like getting to mix up the people that you're recreating with, or is it really just strictly the activity that you want to mix up?
Well, I think especially with downhill skiing, like it is a like kind of a more social thing for me. Like I like skiing, it's fine, it's fun, but like I don't really want to go ski by myself all day and like sit on a chair by myself. I feel like it's fun to be able to like hang out with other people, and not everyone likes running. And so I feel like it's a good, and most people where I live love to ski or snowboard, and that's like the whole reason they live here. And so I feel like, yeah, it's a good way to hang out with people outside in a way that I don't really get to during summer. And I think with Nordic skiing, it's a great equalizer, because technique goes a long way, and my technique is pretty trash. But like one of my old bosses, Gail, she's the whole reason why I got into Nordic skiing. And yeah, she was like very, very supportive of me learning, and like gave me her old boots and like figured out how to get me old skis. And so yeah, like she's like 65, and I can just now like kind of keep up with her, and it's not like I'm out of shape. So I feel like that's fun, and I have like my Nordic ski friends, and it keeps it a little bit more concentrated too. And so then you just like run into people out there, which is really cool.
Cool.
I think one other thing though is like, I think the only wrong way to train probably is if like you're getting hurt or you hate it. So I feel like generally, unless you hate it or you're injured, you're enjoying it, like you're probably training right, because at the end of the day, no one cares. No one cares if you're good at running. Really, really no one cares if you're good at trail running. So like you have to enjoy it and have fun, because if you're looking for like validation or to get other people to care, good luck with that.
The end of the season, you've run a lot more like short races, uphill races, things that are like very much lower pressure than UTMB or La Palma, like your big goals for this summer. In reflection, it seems like those have been sort of your favorite moments of the last racing season. So can you talk about like the value of just like doing something fun for the sake of having fun?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, like you have to balance that. Like it should be fun, but also sometimes like the fun is competing against really other good people, like, or like, I don't know, getting to do these big races like can be fun, and sometimes that's a big part of the draw. And like, but I don't think it always has to be that. I think sometimes you can run like smaller races if that's what's fun. And so I think that's just like a super personal thing of like, and it changes, right? Like, I don't know, I feel like, I think the last time I ran the turkey trot was like 2017, because I'm like, I don't want to run on a path. That's stupid. But I found it really fun. I had a great time. I got to see like some people from high school, and like one of my high school teachers was out there and cheered for me, and like that's super cool. So I don't know, I think it just like seasonality can change what you find fun. Like I don't think I'm ever gonna compete on Nordic skis, but that's like not really the point. Like the point is it's fun, which is the point of running too, but I don't know, I guess that's a little different for where I am right now.
Any desire, any future where people would see you race in Nordic skis too?
No. Oh, it's less slippery there. Oh, that part was not slippery. Yeah, no, probably not. That's like a big thing that I normally, because when trail running, like if you really want to, like especially living in California, you could race every weekend all year probably, or pretty dang close to it. But that's something that I like about winter, is normally I don't really race, or it's like, okay, I signed up the week of and I just want to. But it's not like, oh, I have a build or like I'm training for a thing. It's like a little bit more loosey-goosey, do whatever I want. And so I don't really want to race during winter or like add another sport in. I just don't really think I need that. And I think once again that like helps mitigate burnout. Although I'm saying all of this and I'm running a race in the middle of February, but I also have thought this through, and like I said, I think Nordic skiing will translate well. And then also like my friend MK has like the same coat trick, and she's running Black Canyon, so then it's the same weekend and they're somewhat similar. So I feel like I'll have a friend to do long runs with, or like to drive to Auburn, or if I have to go to Reno. And then also like I probably won't race from like February to almost the end of June unless I get really excited about something at home. So yeah, I feel like that's part of it too, is I've thought this through, and I'll take a pretty long break after Tarawera. This has been another episode of Running Rants with Helen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Do it again.
What?
Do it again.
I can't do it again.
Do it 3 6.